Isabel McKay is a 19-year-old, full-time law and communications student at the University of Technology, Sydney. Having moved from Queensland by herself to further her studies, she lives in a 2-bedroom unit and works 2 shifts a week at a pharmacy. But juggling both uni and work is the circus act that no one applauds.
On top of going to uni full-time, I also have to work at least 2 days a week just to be able to, buy food and live. I couldn't survive if I didn't do that.
Like 380,000 university students, Isabel is dependent on fortnightly youth allowance payments of approximately $482 to help cover her rent and bills. But with payments not even reaching the recognised poverty line, Andrew Cummings, Executive Director of the Australian Youth Affairs Coalition, urges the federal government for action.
The general rate and the unemployed rate works out at about $35 a day, and you can imagine that's not a lot of money to live on.
It's not like if I miss work it means I can't go out this weekend. If I miss work it means, oh crap, I have to live off 2-minute noodles, that kind of thing. It's really about living week to week when you're relying on every cent that you get. I really have to plan exactly what money I have, what I can spend it on, and not waste anything.
But with the cost of living continually rising, the mere $35 a day often means no money is put away for savings, a notion known all too well by Isabel.
At the start of this year, in about February, I got sick with glandular fever. I was off work for 4 months, and that's when things became really hard because at that point I did have a bit of savings, but suddenly all my savings went to living. Everything went down the toilet basically. Like if I was going to buy food, I just had to spend out of everything that I had saved. I watched it all disappear, and although I was essentially bedridden, I chose not to defer from uni because I knew that I would then lose my Oz study.
It was factors like this that prompted the AYAC's submission to the Senate in response to the adequacy of the allowance payment system.
What we're calling for, and a number of other organisations like AAC are calling for, is an immediate rise of $50 a week to youth allowance. And we believe that would actually bring the level of youth allowance up to what we consider to be an acceptable level. It certainly wouldn't be luxurious, so young people wouldn't be like, living the lap of luxury. But it would, that extra amount would make it much more possible for young people to address some of those things.
So what would an extra $50 a week mean for full-time students like Isabel?
I wouldn't be worried so much about the future because if I had $50 a week put away, or I could contribute it to textbooks, that kind of thing, I wouldn't have to quite plan as much, restrict myself as much, and I wouldn't have to worry that if something goes wrong next week or if the dryer breaks down or whatever could happen, I don't have to worry about that completely blowing everything for me. I'd sort of have a bit more of a safety net going on.
Although having also recommended a rise of $50 per week in their own submission to the Senate, Unions New South Wales recognises the importance of the current youth allowance payment system.
The current system is really important that it exists. We spoke to a number of young people who say that without youth allowance they wouldn't be able to be at uni, and that they had limited educational opportunities without youth allowance. So there's some great things in it, but as most things, it can always see improvement.
As long as I live within my means, I don't feel stressed about surviving day to day because I know what I can and can't buy. I know how much I can spend. The problem that arises is that when you only have enough money to just get by, which is what happens on youth allowance, if you get sick or something like that happens, you really got to make sure that you've been saving because otherwise you're in big trouble.
Courtney D, Study Break.